This conference will now be recorded.
Motion to adopt.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Thank you, gentlemen. All right, next up is staff updates. Zach, update us.
All right. All right, so most of our updates are about the Cape Carteret Trail project. Everybody's been watching that very closely and excited to see that coming together. This is the walkway over Schoolhouse Creek, and that's the view there from the walkway. So if you haven't had a chance to take in that view, you will pretty soon. Hopefully we'll set a date for the ribbon cutting this evening. Hoping maybe Wednesday or Thursday of this week and we can get it opened up. But really a beautiful spot in there. Tons of fish and birds and other wildlife. Just a really good final product that we got out of that. There's another view right there. So it's all pervious through there, which is a requirement for the trail section due to its proximity to the creek and to the CAMA requirements and stormwater. And then we have the newest section of the asphalt segment there from the walkway over the creek over to Handy Mart. So this is a huge section of the trail that we are wrapping up, and I'm really excited to see that come to fruition. It's been a long time coming. We've got the Starbucks section that's getting started tomorrow, and then the Lowe's Foods gas station section is under construction as well. So when all that is done, we'll have one continuous multi-use trail along Highway 24 through Cape Carteret. So that's been many, many years in the making. So very excited to see that. We've got our RFP out right now for the next segment after that, which is on Taylor Notion Road from the library to Arden Oaks. So hopefully we'll get some good bids on that. We can, as soon as the state funds come in, we can move forward on that next section. So really excited to see all that coming together. And also want to thank the county commissioners for this segment here on 24 because they matched the town's obligation on this section. So they were able to bring this to fruition, and I think it really turned out well, and people are going to enjoy this new segment of the trail. And also yesterday was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, so just want to take a moment to thank Chief and to thank Cape Carteret Police Department for all y'all do, both on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day and every day. So thank you for that. And also, I'll hand it over to Chief now. He's going to talk a little bit about two items here on the screen.
If you would, Chief, go to the microphone, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So we've had several reports of foxes with distemper, and I believe also one raccoon that's inside Cape Carteret. So our officers have responded to those, and we ask that if you do run across any foxes or raccoons or any type of wild animal that seems to have distemper, please contact our department so that we can then refer that to animal control. They get involved in most of these cases. So just don't go around the animals, don't approach them. Just give us a call. What else you got up there right now?
And then the neighborhood watch.
Okay. Yes, definitely. So officers participated in No Shave November to, I lost my razor, by the way, but anyway, to raise funding for our new Neighborhood Watch program. So those funds will be utilized for sign placement on all of the end streets into each community. We're right now in the process. I just got a quote today, and we're looking at purchasing those signs. And so I'm excited about having those put up. Also got a quote for all of our Neighborhood Watch members for a mailbox sign for each member. Hopefully there will be enough funds that each one can have one of those signs to place on their mailbox at their residence. And speaking of Neighborhood Watch, our first meeting of the year will be right here in this very room tomorrow at 6 p.m. So we look forward to having everyone out that will come out and be with us. Are you still up for speaking tomorrow, Commissioner? Okay. We'll have a guest speaker tomorrow, Commissioner Jeff Waters. And you should have the speed studies in your packets. They've been completed. Do you know if they got in there? They haven't? Okay. So the speed studies have been completed. They will be available to you. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. When you do get those, please just note that the speeds that were recorded were top speeds during monitoring that speed of that vehicle. So it would be a top speed where it topped out at. And those occurred in several straightaways. The results were good. And I also would like to say, you know, sometimes I'll get in my personal vehicle and just travel down some of these streets and in the patrol vehicle just to see what it feels like at those speeds. And so you learn a lot when you put yourself in that position. So I'm excited for you, for the commissioners to see the results of those studies. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
We completed another successful yard debris pickup in the month of December and of November, which was a good success. And we look forward to continuing offering that service to all of our residents here this year. We got all of our Christmas decorations up on Highway 24 and Taylor and Ocean Road, and it looked great through the Christmas season. We got Town Hall lit up out there for Christmas in the Cape, which was another successful event. And we just started stowing them away this year to they'll come out again next season. Did a few minor road repairs around town, a couple in Star Hill and in Country Club Point. It's Todd right there in that picture. That was one in Star Hill. We've been keeping up with our regular ditch work in town, clearing them, weeding them, and we brought our leaf vacuum out and hooked up to our dump truck and started to pick up leaves throughout town. And we'll continue doing that as the leaves accumulate. Also worked on a lot of right-of-way curb appeals in town, especially on Highway 24, which we're going to continue doing. This month, we're going to concentrate on trimming all of our low and hanging branches in all of our right-of-ways in town. So we'll provide residents that have big campers, RVs, and large equipment to get down there with ease. We also received our chipper from the state grant last month, and we'll begin making our own mulch in town with debris that we get. And we also have a little project that we're going to start down there at the Pettiford Creek kayak launch site. Make a little wildlife viewing area with some benches and swings, which would be great down there by the water. And as you guys are already informed, we've been rolling with the multi-use trail out there, and we're really excited about that. And also, I know Commissioner Martin, you requested a little before talking about some culvert cleaning equipment. I did a little bit of research, started to get some things together. Everybody has information at hand on their desk. Got a couple ditch witch equipments available, which are vacuum excavators, and then another device, which is a portamole, which is more of a pressure washer mechanism. And I'm just going to dive a little bit deeper into detail, see if something like that would be useful for our town and everything. So maybe we could talk a little bit more detail about that in a future meeting, but I'm starting to get the ball rolling on something like that. And that's all I got right now.
I think that's a good idea. And I've bought several of those type of units, and there's different ways to go on that. So I got some information from different companies that you can. I bought stuff, which Rodders and Jet Supply, Sewer Equipment of America. Just depends on you. Naturally, we don't need a huge trailer.
There's like many different sizes with holding tanks, how often we're going to use them. So
and the nozzles you can use too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all right. Thanks so much, man. You guys are doing an awesome job. I hear nothing but compliments. Compliments out there. Everybody sees you working, and you're doing an awesome job, and I surely appreciate it. All right, the videos are good too. I had a lot of good feedback on the videos, because that's what we need to do is, you know, let people know as much as we can what we're doing with social media, and I think that's working out great. All right, next up, planning board update from Mrs. Susan. Would you please? Well, everybody online can hear.
The planning board didn't meet in January. Everything that we covered in the December meeting was related to what Ann is going to cover.
Okay.
So I'm just going to leave it for her.
All right. Next up is our public comment. We've had 2 people that signed up to speak. First will be Mrs. Holtz. Good evening. Hope you're doing well.
Resolve that this will be a short meeting. Paxton Holtz, 547 Deptune Drive. I have a couple of things to talk about. First of all, I would like for the town to issue an invitation to the North Carolina Coastal Federation, which might surprise you to know that I'm a member, but I have been for years. I'd like for the town to hear a presentation on living shorelines.
It's a good idea.
Now, this living shoreline business was one of the top 10 stories in Carteret County, according to the News Times. And who among us could argue with the News Times? So that was for you, Brad. So I think that it's very important that we understand the importance of living shorelines in conjunction with, not necessarily instead of, bulkheads. I have both at my personal house. And I think they're both important. They both do a service. I am very, very decided that I am going to put a bulkhead, perhaps in addition to a living shoreline, on my property that I lease to the town of Cape Carteret. Now, I hope the town's not going to oppose me on this. I know you lease it from me, but it's eroding away. I had a call from the Marine Corps last year that Mr. Steffi suggested they call me to ask if they could launch amphibious vehicles from my property leased to the town for recovery efforts. And I said no. However, I do own another boat ramp, and I'll be glad to offer you my hospitality, but I would never allow tracked amphibious vehicles owned by the Marine Corps to exit Manatee Street over my property into Bogue Sound. I mean, I just wouldn't allow it. And if the town, and thank you for asking, because if the town were to ever grant such permission, I would really be upset about that. People launching kayaks are eroding my property. And what do we think those vehicles would do to it? At any rate, I am going to apply for a permit, and I'll keep you posted on that. Living shorelines are bags of oysters in plastic bags that help prevent erosion. I hope also this year the town will consider making the entire shoreline of Cape Carteret a no-wake zone. It is no more difficult to enforce a no-wake zone than it is to enforce stop signs or speed limits. Naturally, there's not going to be a policeman or a police boat at every location, but law-abiding citizens will obey. I'm talking about right next to the shoreline, not where Commissioner Waters and I water skied in our youth, not out in the area, but right next to the shoreline. Why have a few hundred yards where people gun their engines to run around?
No, you're fine. Somebody's fine.
However, that's something I think we should consider to stop the erosion, both bulkheading and living shoreline. I also would like to ask the commissioners to consider either appointing me to a regular position on the planning board, where I would have a voice and would be able to vote on all town issues, not just on ETJ issues. Our ETJ regulations for zoning board, planning board members are flawed. The rules say one is supposed to live in the ETJ. Well, nobody lives in our ETJ. We all know that. The town asked the county to appoint the ETJ member. And when I was not appointed as a regular member of the planning board, I applied to the county. I was the only one who applied, and they appointed me, even though it didn't meet our criteria. Well, nobody can meet our criteria. So I would either ask you to change those rules to allow the ETJ member to vote and have a voice on all matters within the town and not just on ETJ matters, or appoint me as a regular member. I believe that I can do a lot of good for this town, and I'm willing to do good for this town, which right now means a member of the planning board. So I'm not the only one that can help, but I am the oldest rat in the barn. I have the history in my head, and I have the town's good in my heart, and I hope you would consider either appointing me or changing the rules to allow me to have a better voice. And if there is ever anything you need to ask me, please, day or night, email, telephone, I'm yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Patricia Rudman. Good evening.
How are you?
All right.
Good. Well, I'm going to be Mrs. Kravitz today. And as you know, I live on Star Hill, just before the opening at Pettiford Creek. And I don't know that there's a lot that can be done about this except for having the police department kind of drop in the trash that is going into down that trail is ridiculous. And you can see it. They've got their truck or they've got their car and there's junk on the top of it, and they drive in, and then 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, they come out and the truck is empty. So I'm not even sure what you guys can do about it, or I know that there's jurisdiction problems and everything. But even just having, instead of the police car sitting over on Pine Lake, maybe having it sit somewhere on Star Hill so that those people will just keep on driving. They see a police car and they think, you know, well, I better not turn in here, because it's not a dump. And we have a free dump. I don't know why people, I don't understand it. But you know, we walk our dog down there and it's just not pretty. And so I'm asking you with all humbleness to see what you can do about that. That's all.
Thank you. And that is all we had for public comment this evening. Next up is the Dolphin Road conveyance.
Evening, everyone. My name is Jason Swain. I live in Wilmington. Our family owns the shopping center across the street. We've been here in Cape Carteret for a long time now, and we originally purchased the shopping center, expanded it. As you may know, we are currently developing the Starbucks and the Lowe's Fuel gas kiosk out front as well. Developed the Walgreens and the Wells Fargo. And I'm here tonight to talk about something that has been an issue for all of us, I think, for a long time, and that's Golf and Dolphin Drive. And Golf and Dolphin has exceeded, in my opinion, its useful existence as it currently is, and needs badly to be upgraded. As the owner of the shopping center, we've got a vested interest, but I know the town has a vested interest in seeing it repaired and brought up to a good standard as well. We have, I guess, been talking with town manager Zach for maybe as long as a year now, off and on, about how to improve the situation that we've got there. Because the road is old, it's beginning to crumble, and we've got potholes that we are continuously patching. We own the property, and there's a consortium of us all who have businesses along Golf and Dolphin Drive that help to pay to maintain it. When we started talking with Zach, we said, well, look, you know, we can continue to put cold patch on the potholes when they arrive for a long time. It's not all that expensive to do. It's sort of a pain, but we can continue to do that. Or we could look at sort of a long-term project that might really be to the benefit of the town, the shopping center, and all the businesses along the road as well. And so we started talking with Zach, and I engaged my engineer in Wilmington, who's here this evening, and we came up with a long-term plan that looks like what Zach shows you on the screen. I don't know if y'all have that in your packages, have seen it or not. We've taken time and effort to sort of design that, and what you'll see, what it is it's sort of an improved Golf and Dolphin Drive that has striping where the median is there now at the intersection of Highway 24. This particular plan shows curbing, guttering, and also a sidewalk and landscaped area down the side adjacent to the shopping center, if you will. It also reduces the size of the road. As you know, it's sort of a free-for-all right there now. It's 60 feet wide instead of the traditional 24 feet, which is standard for a road of its type. So it would reduce that size and then enable cars to flow instead of willy-nilly. It would enable them to flow in an orderly manner. So we started looking at this plan and have gone back and forth with different contractors trying to figure out an affordable way to do it. I know this came before the town several months ago, and there were plans that were put in place for the town to accept a road like this. It would be our preference to not own the road long term, to be able to dedicate it to the town. And there are a couple of different reasons for that, which I'll talk about. What I'm coming you tonight to tell you is that we've engaged with a couple of different paving contractors. Steffi recommended that we talk with the gentleman who's going to be doing the sidewalk improvements along the front of the Starbucks. We granted the town an easement so that y'all could build a sidewalk which would connect the trail, which Zach was talking about. We understand that he can do the work substantially cheaper than we can get it done, which I think is a fantastic development. We were told, we've been given pricing of about $175,000 to do the work, excluding the curb and gutter and excluding the sidewalk. And it's my understanding, Zach, you tell me if I'm wrong, but that number, this contractor thinks he can do it for about $75,000, which is great. No, they did. Yeah, they did, and that's exactly right. So what I wanted to talk about tonight is we want to be a good citizen. I think it's in everybody's interest to figure out a way to fix Golf and Dolphin Drive. I'm not able to do everything myself, and I would like to come before the town tonight and propose that that we would share in the cost with the town. We would dedicate the land for the roadway improvements, and we would contribute half of the cost to do it. And at $75,000, that's about $37,500. The cost to do the road, is my understanding, you would get for the $75,000, you'd get a true road, which is 24 feet instead of 60 feet. You'd get a graded out area, sort of landscaped area over to the side. You would not get curb and guttering. That's an additional expense that would be associated, but I'm not sure that curb and guttering is actually needed through that area. I think that the fact that you would have landscaping on one side, there is already curb on the left-hand side where the Starbucks is. And I think that the 24 feet instead of the 60 feet would provide you with sufficient traffic control measures to make sure that there's a orderly flow of vehicular traffic through that area. So I'm here just to sort of answer questions, to talk. I think we all want the same thing. It's a matter of how can we get there.
You want to have any questions or comments?
And if you do, my engineer's here too and can answer specific questions.
Directly for you, so much as it is for Zach and our attorney. Let's gloss over the paying for this and getting the work done. Do we have any protections in place? I know that there's utilities and there's got to be utilities and other things that run out there. And those, from my understanding, at least some of those are private as well. Do we have a plan to protect the town from incurred cost of fixing private utilities that may run underneath that roadway. And if we don't, we need to do that before we sign on to do that. Does my question make sense? Everybody tracking?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And since Jason's here, I don't know if you can shed any light on any existing easements there that are there, or what we would.
Sure. I can tell you, I know a little bit, enough to be dangerous, and I'll tell you what I know. And I know Ms. Holtz is here, and she is a wealth of information and will probably know far, far more than I ever could hope to know. But I do know there's a force main easement that goes down, it tracks down the side of Golf and Dolphin Drive. We're hoping to soon connect into it with Starbucks. It also carries the wastewater from the Hardee's back to the sewer treatment plant that's behind the shopping center. There's water, I think there's water as well, and probably there's power above ground. Action, do you know any different? Okay.
Short version of what I'm getting at is I don't want the town to be on the hook for fixing roads that had to be cut into to fix a private utility.
Sure.
And that's fine. It's fine that it's there, but we just need to think about that as we go forward.
And I'll say, I'm not an attorney. I can, I'm sort of like you. I can sort of say in concept, I think that seems reasonable to me. I mean, if there's a private easement and a repair needs to be made, the repairing party, should bear that expense. It would be my opinion. Now, we may both talk to our attorneys and they may say, oh my gosh, this or that needs to be done. But in concept, I generally agree with you.
I had a question sort of along utilities as well, mainly with regard to stormwater. When you see a road with a lot of potholes, you are curious if it's shedding water like it's supposed to. I notice your plan does not include contours. Is there any design aspect that includes changing elevations to shed water? Also, is there anything to include more stormwater management, catch basins, anything like that for this design? I'm looking at the
Sure.
copy we have.
So that's a great question. I'll answer it a couple of different ways. The plan that I've got is a general plan to see if there's interest in everybody coming together and with an agreement. I think that could be worked out if everybody says, yes, let's go down this path. The initial plan, it's my understanding, and I do confirm as well, that the road is holding water. The water's not shedding off the road. It's my understanding that part of the cost, the $75,000, will be to strip the asphalt, make sure the ABC under it is sufficiently compacted, and then to crown the road so that water runs off on both sides. My personal opinion, and I'll let my engineer talk directly to your point, but my personal opinion is if that road is reduced from 60 feet in width to 24 feet in width, we're eliminating a considerable amount of impervious surface area that is right now paved asphalt that will be grass or pervious area. So I think that will be a great benefit, especially if the road is crowned. I can't speak to specifics about catch basins and all. I don't know, Richard, do you know about the catch basins out there? Yeah. Actually, do you know if there are any? Yes, ma'am. Oh, well, as long as y'all are okay with it.
Just fine.
Okay.
When Mac Holtz was building McDaddy's, I begged the town not to force us to put curb and gutter islands in the parking lot and then irrigate them. What a waste of water and money. My idea, if any of you have ever gone across the bridge to Emerald Isle and seen the steep slope of that road, my idea is not to crown the road, but to slant the road. And look at your plan and you see all those little green areas? Don't curb them. Let the water flow into rain gardens. Now, the Coastal Federation has said for years we need to put our surface water, our storm water into rainwaters, into collection areas that would then filter it. That's the way to go. You've never seen water stand on that section of Highway 58, have you? No, it goes right off down into the ditch and down into Bogue Sound and wetlands along the way. Any of you who've driven around Deer Creek Drive, when I developed Deer Creek, I slanted the road. I didn't crown it. And it all goes down into basins and then filters into Bogue Sound. So I would ask, don't let's curb and gutter. Let's remove the curb and let it go into rain gardens. Now, I'm not an engineer, I'm a housewife, but I can tell how water runs. And I would like for y'all to consider that. Thank you.
Whether it's spring gardens or, Crown Road or slanted road, it doesn't necessarily matter to me. I want what's best for the town, what's best for the shopping center as well. I think anything we do is going to be an improvement, quite honestly, and I want to make sure if we're doing it, we all do it the right way.
Mayor Baker, I have a question. If I can't tell if anybody's still engaged in conversation, but
Go right ahead.
Okay. First, before we get too far into this, I got a question for our town attorney. Brett, are you there tonight?
Yes, sir.
Can we even use public funds to upgrade this property since it is private?
Only if we own it.
Okay. That being said, also, if you read the applicable section of Code of Ordinances for the town, 96.35, the property owner will be responsible for completing all repairs and upgrades to the right-of-way, roadway, and drainage stormwater system per an engineer's report before the town will formally accept a roadway. So I think we're putting the cart before the horse here. And Mr. Swain has stated that he is only interested in paying a 50-50 cost to upgrade it. And we're actually pricing the upgrades without getting a formal quote. So until it's brought up to North Carolina DOT standards, I personally have no interest in accepting the road. That's all I have.
Any other comments?
I have a question. I know it's pretty wide area through there, and you're talking about from 60 feet to 24 feet. I know there's a lot of traffic goes through there, the trucks, the delivery trucks. Is that going to be width? Is going to be wide enough? Whatever done, whenever it's done, would that be wide enough for?
Yes, sir. The 24 feet is what's standard, is my understanding. Do tell me if I'm incorrect on that.
Richard Collier with McKimmon Creed. It's really 28 feet wide, and that's what DOT standard is for this particular roadway. So the lane width will be about 14 feet wide in the largest area. So yes, it would be large enough to accommodate the vehicles that would be going through the delivery and such. But right now, I think as everyone sees, 60 feet is much too wide for it, and it creates just an area of people go where they want. And that's the biggest part of a lot of what's going on. And a street in a shopping center is never intended to have that much vehicular traffic, particularly the heavy trucks, all the time on it. So I think that's what's wearing it down more so than issues with stormwater. I think there may be some stormwater issues with it, but at the same time, I think it's more just the wear and tear on the road over time of having the larger vehicles, constantly going in and out of what was once the only stoplight, and now has two ends to it. So, yes, sir.
Any other questions for the gentleman? Well, I don't really know. Don't have a formal presentation as far as you're talking money, which, as Commissioner Martin alluded to, it's a private road. I mean, that's sort of the cost of doing business. Sort of how I look at it is that it needs to be fixed and then come back and see us. And then once it meets the criteria that we laid out last year, If it meets that criteria, then we can talk about taking it over then. But like I say, I don't know right now. Number one, legally, can we even, go into giving you money for it to begin with? But it definitely needs to be repaired, but
I agree.
good luck. That's all I can say. And please, once you get it done, please come back and see us after that. We might have some more questions. I don't really know what else to say.
Okay, that's fine. If I don't know what we'll do. We very well may just continue to sort of patch. Quite honestly, it costs us a de minimis amount of money every year to patch it. It's not, I think, what's in the best long-term interest of the town. But should it ever please the town, Zach, if you ever find money that's set aside for a grant or anything, just know that we would be willing to dedicate the road to the town, and then I'd be willing to write you a check for a portion of the expenses associated with the improvement of the road.
All right. Absolutely. If we can find something for you grant wise, I mean, we try to do that for any business we have in town.
Sure.
If we can help, in that aspect, absolutely.
And I just thank you all. We enjoy being a part of the town. We really do. We are doing our best to try to bring good jobs and businesses to the community. Zach has been really good at trying to keep us informed of opportunities to bring new businesses to town. So, as you guys have and gals have any interest in us talking to a new business to bring them to town, or if you get wind that somebody's looking, call me. We develop all over North Carolina, and we want to be a good part of the community for a long time to come.
So that'll be a Chick-fil-A coming, you said?
It has been made very clear to me that is what the town would like. So I would very much like that too. And if you ever hear there's an opportunity, I talk with them on a regular basis on other stuff. So don't worry, y'all are at the top of my list. All right. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it and appreciate everything. Like I say, your family's done, for the business this year.
Thank you very much.
So hopefully we can figure something out.
All right. Thanks.
Next up, consideration of the special use permit for the 101 Folk Sound Drive. This is a continuation from last meeting. Needed some more information. I think that's been gotten. So Zach, I'll turn that over to you.
As the mayor said, in the packets, we've got the site plan that was provided by the applicant. So we've included that on the screen real quick. All right, so there's the plan that was provided by the applicant showing that buffering along the southern property line. Looks like some there along the western property line as well. I'll let the applicant kind of explain that more. But other than that, everything remains the same as what it was at the previous meeting. I know that Commissioner Watts had some specific questions. So I know we can kind of dive into those during the discussion period there. He has, I think, a sheet that we passed out and all that. Is there?
I've shortened it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really don't even need that.
Okay. I think that's everything. I'll let the applicant, weigh in on it. If y'all have things to say about the change plan or any other new information that they'd like to share.
All right.
And Mr. Westby, the applicant, is joining by GoToMeeting. We also like to swear him in remotely. His son had a positive COVID test, so he was not able to attend in person.
Appreciate that.
So can we do that? Can we swear him in?
Yes.
Okay, Ben, you ready?
Let's do it.
Do?
I do.
Okay, well, at the December meeting, we went through all of the various questions that the board is required by the statutes and the ordinance to consider and determine in considering the special use application. I believe that we presented competent evidence on every single one of those. And there was not evidence really to contradict any of the evidence that the applicant put forward. One question, though, remained from Commissioner Watts about the stormwater plan and the drainage, and specifically, as I recall, the question was whether the area where this fourth building is intended to go was already impervious surface. We have concluded that it was. Ben, do you want to speak to this first, and then Mr. Frost and I can respond to any additional questions?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jane. And again, sorry I couldn't be there tonight. It's very important to me, but COVID test, and full disclosure, I'm actually in his room watching him right now. So if you hear a Coco Melon or some kids show in the background, that's him. I'm trying to keep him separate from mom and baby sister. So yeah, to the issue at hand, we weren't able to get an engineer in there to do a soil sample to test the actual imperviousness or imperviousness of the area where we want to put that building. They're booked 4 months out. So, I went back to the previous owner. As we discussed in the last meeting, this area was used as vehicle storage. You can see it from aerial photos. I went to him, just had him sign a letter saying that, yeah, this area was used as vehicle storage while he operated the facility. I gave that to town hall earlier today, and you should have a copy of it. If you don't, let me know. But if in fact, like the previous owner is saying, this area was used as vehicle storage, then that soil should be compacted and it should be already impervious. And therefore, when we add the fourth building, we're not changing the imperviousness or perviousness of the entire property, by putting the structure on there. So that's what that's where we are on identifying the condition of the soil as it is. Otherwise, I spoke to my contractor about ways that we can improve stormwater management and hopefully try to integrate with a future stormwater management plan that the town is in the process of developing right now. I reached out to Mr. Steffi to see, hey, how can we connect in and make sure that what we're doing on this property is in the is going to connect with the vision that you have in the future for stormwater management. So I'll let Mr. Frost elaborate on some of those plans of what we can do, but that's where we are. Yeah, thank you.
You guys can see the site plan where the green and the green trees were planted at. That's going to be about a 12-foot buffer of natural area there. We're going to try to slope all of the remaining parking or remaining impervious surface towards that area and towards the green areas in the front. What is called the dispersed flow. We can control a lot of the water going through that way. We disperse it through that natural area. It's basically where we're headed up.
So, in other words, the site plan will actually improve the flow of water and stormwater management to allow for more dispersal and filtering of water on the property. As Mr. Westby said, there are aerial photographs. And Mr. Steffi, I don't know, do you have copies of the aerial photographs that show
in your memo.
that that the area historically was used for vehicle storage, or essentially parking lot, which would compact the area so it is already impervious surface? In addition, do you have copies of the letter? Would you like copies of the letter?
I have a copy.
You have copies of the letter from the previous owner confirming that in fact it was already impervious surface because it was being used for vehicle storage. So obviously, if we could have gotten an engineering report in time for this meeting, we could have. It was not possible to do that. But instead, I think what we have here is competent evidence that that area is already impervious surface based on its prior usage. And so putting a fourth building in that location on the property will not adversely affect the stormwater flow or water management on that lot. I don't know whether we're happy to answer any questions about that issue or any of the other issues on any of the other elements that we need to prove to with respect to the application.
Anybody have any questions? All right, so if I understand this correctly, we need to vote on the 8 elements of this.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. Just one thing, just so the board's aware, if there's, you can provide for conditions. That's a part of accepting this, if that's what you want to do to meet any element. So if there's something that you would require to make it to vote affirmatively, you can actually require a condition. So if in this case, if the impervious was an issue with you, you could move to accept on a particular element and then say, provided that they provide an engineer study if that's something what the board wants to do. And then the application would essentially be contingent upon getting certain things. So you can do conditions. That's just one. Whatever condition you want, as long as it's reasonable and applies to the factor, you can allow conditions as part of your motion.
Okay. All right, so we have 8 of these. So I'll read them out and then call for a vote on each one. Any provisions or special requirements you'd like to have made on each one of them, please let me know. So we'll start with number 1, which is the proposed special use conforms to the character of the neighborhood, considering the location, type and height of buildings or structures, and the type and extent of landscaping on the site. So do we need a motion? Okay. Okay, so yeah, motion for each one. Okay, second. Any discussion? Can you make that so I can see Steve? Steve puts his hand up.
I'm kind of lost here, Mayor. I'm looking through my packet and I don't see what you're reading off of, but that, basically, what have you got, a motion for what you just read and you got a second to approve?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm a yes. I'm a yes.
Yeah, Steve, what we're doing is literally we're reading off the 8 elements of the permit.
Okay, I see them on the screen now.
Okay, all right.
So are you asking for my vote on that first element?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a yes.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Number 2 is the proposed use will not cause undue traffic congestion or create a traffic hazard. Motion. Second. All in favor? Okay, motion passes. Number 3 is the proposed use will have the ability to obtain adequate connections to water, sewer, wastewater, drainage, electric, and others as required. Second. All in favor? All righty. Please stop me if anybody has any comments or any conditions they'd like to add. Number 4 is the proposed use shall not be noxious or offensive by reason of vibration, noise, odor, dust, smoke, or gas. And second, all in favor? Motion carries. Number 5, the establishment of the the establishment of the proposed use shall not impede the orderly development and improvement of surrounding property. Have a motion, have a second, all in favor? All righty, that's number 5. Number 6 is the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the proposed use shall not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. Motion, Charlie? Okay. And second? And all in favor? Okay, thank you. Number 7, the proposed use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property. Motion and a second, all in favor? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. And last but not least, the proposed use is consistent with the officially adopted plans and policies of the town. Motion. Okay, second. All in favor? All right, so all 8 of the provisions have been passed.
What were those votes? They all 4?
All were 4, yes. All were 4. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Just as a matter of housekeeping, what we'll do is I have to prepare an order to this effect, and they'll adopt the order at the next meeting. So that's when it'll go before them to adopt at the next meeting, but I have to draft it for them to review, and then next month's meeting, they'll approve it. Okay?
All about the paperwork.
Right, so what that means is that the development obviously will wait until after that meeting.
Right. The special use permit won't be allowed until next meeting. They just have to approve the order that I draft.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. All right, next up is the draft land use plan presentation from Ann. I assume she's online.
I'm here. Can everyone see and hear me?
Hello, Ann.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Zach, may I share my screen, please?
Share the screen.
Okay, does that work? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, everyone. Mayor Baker and commissioners, thank you so much for having me. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Ann Darby. I'm the Planning Department Manager for Summit Design and Engineering. And I'm here to virtually give you an overview this evening of the final draft of the KAMA and Comprehensive Plan in advance of the board's consideration for adoption next month. And I look forward to seeing you in person next month. In addition to this overview and a chance to make questions or make comments or ask questions, this is a request to please review the document. It's in final draft form. It's only about 180 pages long, but it's all now available on the plan website. That's www.capecarteretplan.com. And there's a new form. It's available for public comment, and people can make comments on the website. But board members, if you would please make your comments available to Zach, and he will make sure that they are addressed. That's just a preview of the cover of the plan. We tried to have beautiful images of Cape Carteret throughout. As a recap, you know that this process, we're updating the 2007 KAMA plan. That's the Coastal Area Management Act plan that's required by state law. The 2007 plan it's a very thorough and technical document. It meets the measure of the Coastal Area Management Act legislation. We began the process of updating it last summer with survey and public meetings, and we really began the work of creating the plan after the UDO was adopted in September. As you all know, not last year, but 2020, there are 2 state laws that Cape Carteret has to meet with a land use plan. The first is the Coastal Area Management Act that has been in place since the early 70s. And you already have the 2000 plan that meets that. This is an update of that plan. And it also meets the requirements of Chapter 160D, Section 501 of the North Carolina General Statutes that says that a locality must have a comprehensive plan in order to enact zoning. And that needs to be adopted by July of 2022. So we're well on our way to meet that timeline. The KAMA legislation is very technical. It requires a significant amount of data, environmental data, existing conditions, and it's used to evaluate KAMA permits for building in the coastal areas. The Chapter 160D legislation, which you may or may not be familiar with, it requires a comprehensive plan, which is more of a general loose document. It has existing conditions in the same way. It requires a lot of community engagement. And then it may include, according to state legislation, may include future land use, urban form, community vision, etc., as you see on your screen, but doesn't require specifically. What we've created in the Cape Carteret KAMA and comprehensive plan is a hybrid of the 2 different types of plans. So it meets all of the measure of the KAMA requirements. It meets everything that's required by 160D, but also it takes it further, and it's extremely reflective of the community vision and goals for the future of Cape Carteret. We collected community input throughout the process. We tabled at community events. We circulated a survey that was online and on paper. We collected geographically based input via an online map, paper maps, and there was even, I'm sure many of you saw the giant map poster in the lobby of Town Hall where you could add your input with stickers and write by writing. And we also had steering committee and planning board feedback throughout the entire process. Community vision themes, which we really tried to address in all aspects of the plan's recommendation. People want to keep the small town feel of Cape Carteret, keep what's great, and accentuate what people like about Cape Carteret and downplay some of the negative qualities. People want to develop responsibly, to fix infrastructure, storm and flooding issues, to have an aesthetically pleasing town, to limit sprawl, to have a mix of uses, and generally, as I said, keep the high quality of life in Cape Carteret that everyone loves. The document goals, we really had some different goals for this document than the 2000 plan. We didn't just, 2007 plan. We didn't want to just meet the technical requirements. We actually wanted to make this document accessible and useful for many different types of readers. We always say, first of all, if you know everything there is to know about land use and you're very involved, this should be very helpful to you. But if you know very little about it and want to get involved, just for the average resident, this should also be accessible and appealing to anyone. And we also designed for 3 different types of readers. Those people who skim through and read some pictures and some graphs and charts and maps. Some people who just look really fast at anything that's colorful charts and maps. And then the thorough reader. And every document, this document is going to be appealing and accessible to all of those types of readers. We use a combination of details and images. And the goal is for this document to guide the town toward the bright future that people imagine. As I said, it's 160 pages, which is about the same length as the 2007 plan, but we've removed any extraneous data that isn't important to the meat of the plan, and we have made sure that it has plenty of images, graphs, charts, text, and maps, so that it's a really, I guess, as I said, an appealing document. The plan has a ton of data and demographic information that was all in the existing condition report many of you have seen online. It's been reformatted and incorporated into the planning document. This is, I just put this here as an example of the type of data that it has in it. And then it also has a lot of environmental information, soil classifications, flooding, elevation, etc. And you can see on this map here that we've started to use the information. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse or not, but we've started to use the information that people entered on the online interactive map and the paper maps, which we put into the online map for you and then extracted the data. And that way we can see, for example, what we see here is that we have much more accurate data than the state provides or that we can find at a national level. And that's because people were very involved in the creation of this plan, and it really helps make the plan a more accurate and more specific document. In general, as I said, we really tried to lighten up the document and this combination of colorful maps, charts, and text, so that you have all of the information that anyone needs, but it's still I think I mentioned one day when I was presenting about the phone book effect. If you pick up a document, it's as fat as a phone book. And for those of you who remember phone books, it's fat as a phone book. It has as many pictures as a phone book, and you basically just want to thump it down and not read it because that's really unappealing. So what we did was take all of that, and there are many, as I said, you can go online and look at it, but there are many recommendations. They meet the KAM Plan requirements, etc. But for those people who just want to pick it up and get behind the big ideas, there are 4 big ideas, and I know that I've presented these before in draft form. The 4 big ideas are: 1, to create a walkable Main Street, and that is to create an idea of town. This is between 5824 and Taylor Notion, and I know a lot of you have had a lot of conversations about it, and those conversations are ongoing. But in general, the idea is to create a walkable mixed-use town center that can be the center of town. We heard a lot about people wanted a greater mix of uses, more commercial options, more walkable options, but everybody wants to hold on to the single family neighborhoods and the quality of life. So this is a way to direct any growth that would possibly happen, and then to keep the quality of life and not exacerbate flooding issues in other neighborhoods. Speaking of, The second big idea is to protect the town, and that's to protect from flooding and also to protect the environment around from development impacts. This is really focused, and this is extremely relevant to some comments that were made earlier about low impact design and rain gardens, bioswales, etc. So emulating environmental stormwater protection and natural nature-based solutions. And that is a combination of public, private, commercial, and residential and government interventions to make sure that everyone's working together so that the town is protected from future storm events. Directing density, this is just a very simple concept. This is just a blob map. It's not meant to be looked at too closely, but the idea is simply that we're going to keep the density that is in most of the town, and that is, yes, to be responsive to people who are very happy with the quality of life existing in the town right now, but it's also for the lower lying, the areas of lower elevation, to protect from stormwater by not exacerbating the flooding issues and the septic issues that are there, by not adding a ton more of density down there. So, and again, to fix the multi-use path, we've had plenty of comments about how that would be funded. So we've specifically said, and I know that this, I'm going to get updated pictures of Zach from 3 days ago. You had beautiful ones already, and hopefully we'll just get them from this presentation, and put them in the plan. But the idea is to complete the multi-use trail, and specifically we have recommendations to not use the general fund, but to find external, maybe grant sources to do that. And again, the next steps, we'll be making final changes and edits. We'd love to hear your feedback. As I said, please get it to Zach. Please look at the document when you have time and go through it and give your feedback. It's on the website. Again, it's www.capecarteretplan.com. Zach can give you, he can give you a link, or else you can just Google Cape Carteret Plan. Again, it's posted on the website. There's a public comment box for those of you who are familiar with the website. The vision statement form that you put your vision statement in, it's just been converted to be a feedback about the plan. The planning board will then need to make a recommendation, and then the board of commissioners will vote provisionally to adopt, provided that it is approved, and I see no reason that it shouldn't be, but approved by the Coastal Resources Commission. They need 3 months to give a response, and we're well on track if we submit it next month, and it can come back and be adopted by July 1st, 2022. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can answer questions if any.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Ann? Comments? All right, well, we look forward to seeing when we get the final product, and I just want to thank all the citizens that, put their input, because it's what it's about, is your town. What do you want to see in the future? And just to reiterate that, this Main Street concept, it is just that. It's a concept. Naturally, we're not going to make a landowner, do this. I mean, it would have to be a joint effort and cooperation with the landowner, and other things have to be put in place to make that happen. It's just a great idea, and if a landowner are partial to that, I think that'd be awesome. But we're not going to take anybody's land. We're not going to make anybody do anything that they don't want to do. This is pretty much just a what if type of thing. So, Ann, I appreciate your time this evening. Nobody else has any comments? Or
We can download this now, correct?
yes, you can go to the plan.com, yes, and you can download it and read all 180 pages. All right, well, thank you, Ann.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
All righty, next up is spring yard debris pickup dates. And I have heard probably the most compliments about the yard pickup and the fact that we're able to control our own destiny now and do more of these. People are really loving it, as well as myself. So we'll let Zach pull up some. Yes. Assume you have some options for us. Or?
Yeah, just a couple of dates. I'll just read them off. Some possible dates we were looking at for the spring 2022 yard debris pickup, March 28th through April 1st, and June 6th through June 10th.
Okay.
I just wanted to get some feedback on that. I know Certain factors play into it. I know next year we're probably going to shoot for maybe pushing that December pickup to a January pickup to allow all the live oak leaves to fall. And I think logistically that'll work better for Public Works because we got all that Christmas setup going on in December.
Right.
So it's hard to pull off of that and jump from one to the other. So these were the dates that talking with Ryan, we were kind of looking at. So just wanted to get some feedback from the board. Maybe set those dates. We can go ahead and publicize those and get the word out.
Well, that was just going to be my question, was for Ryan, if these dates looked okay for you with everything you got scheduled. Okay. All righty. You don't have any questions about it or any alternative dates? No, I'll entertain a motion to accept those. All right, second. All right, all in favor of those dates? Okay, thank you.
It'll be March 28th through April 1st and June 6th through June 10th. So make sure you have it out by March 27th and by June 5th. Those are the key dates.
All right, next up is the appointment to fill vacant planning board seat.
I think this one's mostly for the board, but I'll just preface and kind of kick the conversation off with Commissioner Martin had asked for the board to consider whether to amend section 7.2.2, which is membership vacancies, to remove the consecutive term limit provision. And I think what he was asking for was just a discussion on that topic, if there was interest from the board or not in changing that. Obviously, that will impact the eligibility of at least one of the applicants. So before the board votes on those appointments, that would be something that would need to be decided. If there is an interest in making that change, then we would need to bring a text amendment back and obviously probably reopen that application period because there might be more people that would want to apply for that. So, but if not, then the board can proceed with voting to fill that vacancy at the meeting this evening.
All right, so is there a motion to change the way we're doing the continue? How would I word that?
So it would be, if a change was to occur, it would be to strike
the limits.
Yes, yeah, so it would be to strike provision B. Right now that reads, appointed members shall serve a maximum of 2 consecutive terms, followed by a period of time of at least 3 years before they may serve on the planning board again. So that's the item that's up for consideration. And we'd probably need to formalize it in a text amendment and bring it back. Right now, we're just seeking direction. If that's the preference of the board, we can come back at the next month with a formal text amendment to make that change.
Okay.
That also give an opportunity to re-advertise, and if there's people that fall into that category, then they could submit an application during that time.
All right.
Gentlemen, my just a comment for the other commissioners. The way I see, regardless of whether we need to vote on the planning board members or not, I tend to favor striking this language. Planning board members serve at the pleasure of the board, and I don't think we need to bureaucratically tie our hands if we think it's in best interest of the town. Does that make sense? What I'm saying is that if we believe that the best person for the town has already served or is currently serving, our hands are tied in putting that person there. I don't believe that we as commissioners should have our hands tied. We believe there's a direction for the town that is what we believe is best. All right. So in my opinion, it has nothing to do with the current set of applicants. It has to do with freeing the commissioners to do their job.
Well, what about the people that sit on there or could potentially sit on there for just years and years at a time? And what if there's a person that could be better that you just don't know about because they're not given the opportunity?
Mr. Mayor, could we entertain a motion and then get into discussion, please?
Sure.
Wouldn't that be,
If someone would like to make a
the-
motion.
wouldn't that be the proper thing to do?
Commissioner
Right.
Martin, Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
this is Brett DeSelms. If
Yes.
if we were going to change the ordinance, this is the way the ordinance currently reads, we'd have to bring a text amendment. We couldn't just do it via motion tonight, because that would have to be advertised and things of that nature. I think what Zach's wondering is whether we should bring a text amendment before the board next month or not.
Okay, so does that free us up to discuss the issue?
Yeah,
as,
so
Commissioner
we can discuss it without
Morgan?
that anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're just discussing if the consensus of the board is to bring it up for a vote next month, then we'll have the text amendment ready for you next month.
Okay, okay, Commissioner Watts, I apologize for interrupting. You go ahead, and then when you're finished, I have some comments I'd like to make.
No, sir, I think I was done. I think you,
Okay, my comment is this, in regard to Commissioner Watts' comment. The board of commissioners, as Commissioner Morgan said, the planning board serves at the pleasure of the board of commissioners. They have to apply at the end of their term, so we as elected officials have a duty of either reappointing them or not. So in theory, they're kind of like us. We have no term limits, so they're an extension of us. So we have the right to approve or deny their application to that board. And what Commissioner Watts was talking about, yes, they may be some people that want to apply, and they certainly have the right to apply regardless of what the term limits are. So the board has the board has the right to vote on anybody they want to. And I think we should come back with a text amendment and strike that from the ordinances, because I just don't think it's fair that we have no term limits and an extension of our board, if you will, or advisory board that we appoint is subjected to term limits. So that's where I stand on it.
Or do you have any comments? Well, I look at it that we're not really denying anybody with the way it is now an opportunity to serve on the board. But we are saying that if you are serving on it and you do 2 terms, then, you know, graciously step down for a term, you can come back. We're not saying that once you step down, you can't come back. But if we'd have had this position right now and we didn't have it one application, then I would have a different attitude about it if we couldn't find people that wanted to serve. But, you know, we've got 5 applications here of people that want to serve, and I think we need to give them that opportunity. And, you know, I'd love to see term limits on the board as well. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Well, the mayor, the 5 applicants have their applications submitted. As far as putting term limits on the board of commissioners, good luck with that.
Well, there again, I just said that's my opinion.
So Zach, do you need a motion to come back to the board with a text amendment to strike that particular paragraph?
I think Commissioner Morgan's made a motion. If there's a second, that's what.
Okay, I'll second Commissioner Morgan's motion on the table.
Then I guess y'all will call for a vote. Yeah.
All right, so all in favor of doing the text amendment?
Just bringing it back.
For bringing it back. Okay. All right, all in favor? That's 2. Okay, all opposed? All right, it stands as it is.
What was the vote? What was the vote?
3-2. 3-2.
How can we be 3 when there's Commissioner Miller's not present?
I voted.
Okay, well, I didn't hear you call your name to vote. I'm sorry.
I raised my hand.
Well, I don't know if you've ever attended a meeting virtually, but I cannot see you. Thank you.
Okay. No, I'm here live. But anyway, I do want to have a conversation about, I think Ms. Holtz did bring up a good valid point as far as what we're doing with the extraterritorial and the voice they have. And I know there's some state provisions that we have to meet and requirements when that goes, and maybe look into that if we can alter that in some way or form, because we don't have really an extraterritorial other than, I guess, property that she owns, which is, I guess, why the county saw fit to put her on the extraterritorial. But we'll look into some of the language on that and what the requirements are. Maybe we can adjust that part of it, if nothing else. All right, so moving on, I guess now we will fill that vacancy. So we had, I guess we could do a sheet. Our town clerk has done some seat. I guess Commissioner Martin, you can.
How should we get Commissioner Martin's name?
What?
Yeah, he could private message Zach what his is.
Oh, I have, Mayor, I have no problem, giving my nomination in public.
Okay.
Just ask me when you want it and I'll tell you.
Does anybody need to see a list of the?
You do a mix of ballots and voting, or just do it all the same way?
You're gonna do a nomination, you can do that way or about.
Okay. So I guess since everybody wants to do that, then somebody can make a nomination from that list of applicants. Somebody can make a nomination if there is one.
All right. So is there a nomination? Hang on.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
You cut your mic on so we can.
Do what?
But we're missing a commissioner here tonight. Is this something we should maybe wait till all of us is here on this aspect as far as a planning board member to be nominated? I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it has nothing to do with it. I mean, just give his input on it as well. Is that something?
You can certainly continue this to the next meeting.
Yeah, if you'd like to make a motion to do that.
I would like for all of us to be able to be here for this process, because I think it's important. It's important to him. Unfortunately, he had an emergency.
Right.
And could not be here this evening. So I would say we table this until the next meeting where all of us can be in attendance.
Okay.
For this process.
Right,
Other planning board members.
Do I have a second for tabling?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor of tabling? All opposed? Okay. 3-1. So we'll bring that up next month. Also, we'll vote next month on the mayor pro tem. Seeing how the mayor pro tem's not here tonight, I think it's more appropriate to have that next month as well. All right, next up is the consideration of encroachment in Bay Shore right away.
So the board's being asked to consider authorizing the town manager in consultation with the town attorney to sign a proposed encroachment agreement with John McLean for an encroachment in Bay Shore Drive right of way from 307 to 304 Bay Shore Drive. So the applicant's requesting that for a sewer force main to be 10 feet wide and to be running from 307 to 304. And it's for a wastewater force main that would be bored under Bay Shore Drive. And my main comment on it would just be to give town attorney and I some flexibility to negotiate any provisions of that easement or encroachment agreement, just to make sure we have protections in place if the road were to collapse. The road would have to be dug up in the event of a failure in the line, that the applicant would have to make those repairs, or if there's any sinking or anything to the roadway, that the applicant would make those repairs. And I think we talked about before the meeting is that we'd ask that the applicant bring it to the town attorney from their attorney, and then get that squared away if that's the direction we received from the board this evening. So, and we have for supporting documentation, the encouragement agreement, the request that was submitted by the applicant, as well as a site plan that was submitted showing the 10-foot easement or encouragement area from 307 Bayshore Drive across to the treatment area at 304 Bayshore Drive. So be happy to answer any questions. And I believe John McLean and I think Bubba are both online this evening, so they can also answer your questions if there are any specific questions.
Good evening, John. Is there anything you'd like to say just to get started, or?
Yes, sir. I'd like to tell you that this is pretty commonly done by West Carteret Water Corp. They probably have hundreds and hundreds of encroachments that go to serve the side of the road where the water main is gone. We are going to drill 5 feet deep. A 2-inch diameter line has very little chance to collapse the roadway, and this should be the simplest of all encroachments that are ever granted, in my opinion.
If we need to make a motion to see it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second it. It's
Okay, got it open, got a second. All in favor? There you go. Convincing argument, John.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all board members.
Thank you. He is right. I mean, the water department, I mean, this is nothing out of the ordinary. In the provision, if something happens with the line, then he's responsible for fixing it, not the town, just sort of like what you were alluding to with the road, Charlie. All right, next up is consideration of Public Works additional technician position and budget amendment.
All right, I'm just going to read the background right here for you. Over the past several months, the Cape Carteret Public Works Department has benefited substantially from the North Carolina Department of Public Safety Work Release Program. We have worked with an individual throughout this program and has demonstrated an exceptional level of skill and capabilities that has allowed the Public Works Department to efficiently and effectively tackle a variety of key projects throughout the town. This individual has played a critical role in our ability to repair numerous potholes throughout the town with professional quality repairs. We have maintained ditches and culverts where maintenance has been deferred for years. We're able to bring the yard debris pickup in-house and have performed 2 successful pickups thus far, and we're able to open up 2 brand new park facilities. In addition, the individual has excellent mechanical skills, can operate various equipment, has extensive electrical knowledge, and a great attention to detail when it comes to lawn and landscape projects. That we have been working with over the past several months is set to be released in March. The situation creates a unique opportunity where the town could create a 3rd public works technician position in the current fiscal year without having to increase the overall town budget. Further, the 3rd technician position will allow the Public Works Department to maintain our ability to efficiently provide high quality service to the town of Cape Carteret. We would like for this position to serve in a hybrid capacity, assisting in the zoning and code enforcement while performing the Public Works technician duties. The Public Works Department is out in the community every day. We often are the first to spot new construction activities and potential code enforcement violations. We're also the first to spot debris piles in front of vacant lots and other issues that can hinder an efficiency of the yard debris pickup. Further, the Public Works Department is already responsible for inspecting new driveways and coordinating the installation of culverts, as well as placing door hanger notices at residences. A Public Works technician in this hybrid capacity represents a unique, cost-effective opportunity for the town. A hybrid code enforcement officer position has been vacant for the past several months after the employee in this position has moved to a vacant full-time police officer. Shifting code enforcement position over to Public Works would not result in any budget increase and would only require a transfer from one department to another. The hiring rate for the Public Works technician position is $28,926, and the minimum rate after a successful 6-month probation period would be $30,372. And if we bring it up on the screen, we have detail as well with it. And the requested action is the Board of Commissioners are asked to consider improving a proposed budget amendment and adding a hybrid Public Works technician position to the Cape Carteret Public Works Department. And we'll be willing to take any questions.
Mayor, are we in discussion now?
Yes, if you have any questions, please go right ahead.
How about comments?
Comments, questions, whatever you'd like to do, sir.
Yeah, I'm against this hire for several reasons. I can't support it. When you start talking about code enforcement, our Public Works Department is not trained to do code enforcement. And to my knowledge, a code enforcement officer requires wearing a badge to show when he accesses a private property. And also creating a new position this close to a new budget year is inappropriate in my mind. And we've enjoyed the use of this prison labor free of charge, or basically free. It costs a little gas to go pick him up. So why in the world would we want to hire a full-time when we can use the prison labor free? And once he's out, we can get another prisoner or 2 prisoners, as we have been using, for free. And I'd like to bring this up too, Zach. You're not going to like to hear this, but I'm going to bring it up. Commissioner Evans brought it up many, many times. And the new commissioners probably don't know this, but your employment contract with the town states that you're our code enforcement officer. That's one of your duties in your contract. But I'm against it. Not only that, I mean, Chief McKinney's operated on 7 police officers for 4 years now. He would love to have that extra 8th officer. That's another reason I'm not for this, not been able to do for one and not both.
All right, any other comments? Or questions?
What is the difference in that salary, just out of curiosity, between this one that you're proposing and the position that chief or a police officer? Does anybody know that?
So like from just the salary amount between those two, for what we have in the budget right now versus that 28,000, just rounding those numbers, it's about $7,000 less. Then you factor in benefits and everything else, so that would be on top of that. So we have the money in the budget currently, that when that hybrid position went to a full-time police officer position, it freed those funds up. So the money stays in the planning and inspection side, and then there's the funding that's just sitting there in the police department. This isn't taking all of that funding from the police department, just a small portion. The rest can go to the part-time and other expenses in the police department. So I think it's a win-win. Doesn't have any budgetary impact for us in terms of increasing our budget. We're just maintaining what we have, and I think it's a resourceful solution for doing that. And in terms of, I can address a little bit about on the code enforcement side. That's something Ron and I've talked at length about, and I think it's going to be a kind of a partnership between the different public works employees. I'll spend the first couple weeks with them on every one of the code enforcement actions that they take, just to get them acclimated to that role. But I've got full confidence in each of their abilities to enforce and to do that. I think they're out there every day in the community. They see things on every street. They cover just about every street in town on a given day. And I think this is a good opportunity to not have to increase our budget while we're still getting, I think, a really good benefit out of it. So I think it's something that, we give it a shot and see how it works. And, if it's not a functional system, obviously, as Commissioner Martin mentioned, we're getting into the budget process and can reevaluate. And it's something I can evaluate as well. But I know that we have a really competent, capable public works staff, and I think this is a good opportunity to give them some extra help, but also to help with the code enforcement side. And then for the zoning permits and whatnot, we can keep those in-house here at Town Hall. So I think it's a good partnership.
Zach, we're already enjoying that labor free though from the prison. Is that correct?
No, I mean, there's a cost associated with that.
Okay, it's not $30,000 though.
Going back to my question, how many hours a week does a code enforcement officer actually utilize? Approximately.
I'd say like out of a 40-hour week, I mean, we could probably get away with doing, once we're caught up and they're doing it each week, I'd say like in this particular situation, it'd probably be maybe 10 hours on the code enforcement side and 30 on the public works side. So we can spread it across multiple days of the week. Like that's the first thing they do when they come in, they ride the streets, and then throughout the day, if they see something pop up, they can address it. But we can split the time. If there's a particular preference on it, I think we're pretty flexible, and that's kind of the advantage of the situation would be, we can tweak that as needed. If we need to spend additional time on there, then we can. But once they're caught up, and if you got somebody out there every day who is able to keep up with these things, it's not a huge expenditure of time. If you see somebody doing work without a permit, you're checking the permit map and, going up saying, hey, you need to get a zoning permit. Here's a copy of the zoning permit, drop it off at Town Hall. Just keeping track of what's going on throughout the town. So I don't think it's a huge expenditure of time. I think the benefit is that they get another public works technician that allows them to operate at the same efficiency and productivity level that they're doing now. But we're getting that added benefit of 4 sets of eyes out there in the community that can look out for these things and can immediately address those when they see it out there. So.
And how long has this employee been with the town, the inmate?
Since June, since they came back they were off because of COVID, and they revamped it. I believe it was beginning of June of this past year.
Out of all the inmates that have been utilized in the town here, is he about one of the best ones you've seen?
Oh, absolutely. As far as his resume of skills and everything, it's just being able to get him out and then a workforce where he could do all these things for us would be excellent. Absolutely.
Some of his skills. What highlights his skills? What type of skills do you say he highlights?
His mechanical knowledge is excellent. He can operate all sorts of equipment. He's got a great attention to detail, a good work ethic. And he's always just a go-getter. He wants to go. He wants to work. He wants to get out there, and he wants to do these things. Whereas if you get into just the labor contract people, they're coming out and they just want to get out of the prison, and it's almost having to watch over their shoulder all the time. Never know what's going to happen left or right. I had a couple situations with a few of them in the past where you had to send them back. Just the trust issue is where it is.
Have there ever been any discrepancies with this one in particular?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I've been doing in the labor industry as far as landscape construction for many years, and you know a good worker when you see one, and he's just exceeded all of my expectations. I really trust in him if he was able to get on board with us full time.
I would say ever since I've been elected here as an official on the commissioner, the public works have done an outstanding job. We all can agree to that. And I've seen that with extra help with the inmate or whatever, they get more done. But when you have somebody that you say is sticking out, there's an opportunity there for this young man to work with the town, work well with the town. I'm for in seeing that happen on such as a probationary period of time, at least a year. Most times, if you're on a probationary period for an officer, it's always 1 year. Of course, that probationary period can be extended as well. From the town manager. So I would like to see you have somebody like him to continue on working with you, with the town. However, with the code enforcement part of it, if that was going to be utilized as a position, I'd rather see you hold that position and use him as a worker.
Right.
Period. But not him or any other, as you individual say, hey, I'm the code enforcement officer, not the team member. That's where I stand there.
Is there a warrant or a commission of any kind required for a code enforcement officer? Anybody know that?
Yeah, I mean, it's training to get them acclimated to the position and, yeah, and I think that the way that the memo is written, and I think with what we're describing, it provides enough flexibility that, Ryan can take the lead on this, and then there's no reason that the other three technicians, they see something out there, they can't say to Ryan, hey, this is going on such and such street. I mean, they're together, pretty much every day out there anyways in the neighborhood. So I think it gives us some flexibility to go with what's going to work best, what's going to be the best, configuration. So.
Mayor, I have some more comments, please.
Right ahead.
Zach, are we an equal opportunity employer? Hello?
Yes. Yeah, the answer is yes.
Then why didn't you advertise this position for anybody? I can't hear you, Zach.
We haven't hired somebody for this position. This is just the budget amendment to enable us to do that.
Well, so you're eliminating any other prospects that may be a better suited for this job, is what you're saying.
Not necessarily, but if you make the argument, when I have to defer to Brett on that, we might have to talk about that a little bit further.
I think we need to talk about that, number one. Number two, we need to talk about your contract with the town that states you're the code enforcement officer. That's one of your duties. Also, you keep harping on the fact that it's not going to be a tax increase, budget problem, but for the last 3 years, and you've came to the board of commissioners wanting 5 or 6 cent tax increase. So you're going to tell me that in the upcoming budget, you're not going to ask for any tax increase?
I think once we get into the budget process, it'll be up to the board to determine, what items are desired by the board in terms of what we want to see for the upcoming fiscal year budget. I can't really speculate on that right now, but directly pertaining to this position, I don't see how this would have any impact on requiring a tax increase. The money is already in the current budget for this year, and if we just pass an identical budget for the next fiscal year, it would not have, a tax increase wouldn't be required to do that. I mean, this money's already in the budget for this fiscal year.
I don't believe it. But anyway, I think we're violating equal employment opportunities here. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Any other comments, questions? Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, we were actually having that discussion while this was ongoing. I do think Commissioner Martin's correct. What tonight you would be doing is creating a position. We need to advertise that position. If this one candidate stood out amongst all the other candidates, you certainly could hire that person. But you're not voting on hiring this one individual. What you would be voting on is creating this position, which would have to be advertised so that everybody would have an opportunity to apply for it.
That's not what's on the agenda, Brett. On the agenda reads to hire this guy.
The request action for the Board of Commissioners is to consider approving the proposed budget amendment and adding a hybrid Public Works technician position to the Cape Carteret Public Works Department, and that's verbatim from the memo. So it's not asking to hire a specific individual.
Well, then why did Ryan get up and you and he both have asked the board to give you permission to hire this guy?
I'm not asking for specific permission to hire this individual. Brett's saying that we need to advertise it. We'll entertain applicants for the position and go through the applicant pool. But I think the point that Ryan's making in his memo is that we've been in a situation where we benefited from having essentially three public works technicians over there in addition to Ryan in the supervisor role. This individual's brought a lot to the table that's enabled us to do a lot of asphalt work and culvert work and everything else. And this is somebody that will be losing that position come March when they're released. So if they're, we won't have access to that same skill set, and knowledge, and everything else. So if we can create a opportunity, not just for this individual, but for any interested individual to apply for, I think this is a good opportunity to do that. But per the memo and per what the requested action is, there's not a specific request to hire a specific employee or anything of that nature. So.
Well, I'm not dumb enough to think that you're not going to hire this guy since you are the hire and fire guy now for the town. But so it's just going through a process. But I know it's going to be that you're going to hire this guy. But I'll still say, why pay for something we've enjoyed free for all these years?
Cameron, you want to say something?
I was just going to say, separate and apart from who it is, we're taking from the general fund 40 police department and moving that money to public works. I'd like to make a motion to approve this. If I could.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Second. Any more comment or discussion?
I haven't seen your employment contract, but I would like, whatever, if this is gonna pass, I would like the equipment piece be separated out. I mean, the money's not gonna all move generally in the same direction, just go to different people, right? But I don't know that we want a technician. I get that they see it, but we would like somebody.
I would stipulate to that. Yeah.
Or would you like to change your motion?
So
Table it till.
No, so I'm going to amend my motion. Trying to think how to. I really am just making the motion to move code enforcement from police department to public works. But I do think it needs to be someone of a little different level. I don't know how you would say that.
I think you can specify that the function would be moved from the hybrid position to the public works supervisor. And I think that would be sufficient. That's just
I'm absolutely willing to do that. It'd be a better chance to prioritize duties. If we have 3 full-time guys, I could concentrate on tasking out tasks for the guys to do, and I could be concentrating more on the supervisory skills and code enforcement.
Yeah. I think that's what you were on the amendment. So. So that's the motion. Moving the money from Public Works or from Police Department to Public Works and having the code enforcement be, I don't know what the billet is, the higher level individual. So that's the motion.
All right, do I have a second for his motion? Second, okay. All in favor of that? All opposed? Motion carries 3-1 with the change of wording. I would just like to say that I administered the inmate program for the town of Hillsborough. It was a very great program, but you can't, there's a lot of things that the inmates can't do. They can't drive. So in essence, they're a burden as much as they are a help in some aspects. But we definitely, I think, need some full-time people if we can do it and without raising taxes and get the code enforcement done properly, then I'm all for that. All right, next up is the consideration of proposed text amendment. Zach?
All right, so this text amendment is to address some anticipated issues that I think we're going to see along that newest section of Highway 24. We've had to address some of these things in the past with some of the no parking along Highway 24. So what the requested action is to add to the stopping, standing, or parking prohibited in certain places section of the Code of Ordinances that no person shall stop, stand, sit, fish, cast nets, hunt, park, or otherwise obstruct any portion of the NCDOT right-of-way, the Cape Carteret Trail, and the elevated Cape Carteret Trail walkway within the area lying within the NCDOT right-of-way between the main entrance to White Oak Elementary School and the intersection of Channelview Court and Highway 24. And the requested action is for the Board of Commissioners to consider approving the proposed text amendment to section 72.02 of the Town of Cape Carteret Code of Ordinances. And the attachment is the proposed text amendment. And there is already some signage posted on the wetlands area that NCDOT has up there. And in talking with the NCDOT folks, they felt that we needed to also do something on the local level so that we can host that area to make sure that we don't have issues. We have a number of overhead lines, and then also with the proximity of vehicles there, I think between casting and those lines potentially going out into traffic on Highway 24, and also with that being a narrower section of the trail through there, it would create some safety hazards. So we're just trying to head that off and come up, address a problem before it arises.
So we'll be putting, if this passes, you'll be putting some more adequate signage out there.
Yes, yeah, we'll have some signage about in reference to this, and then also some signage about having bicycles dismount when they're crossing through there. It's not the minimum 8-foot width that's required for a multi-use trail for people to pass in both directions. So just to make sure we're covering all possible circumstances and protecting the interests of the town. So.
We're speaking about sounds like nitpicking, but the person shall stop, stand. That's a beautiful view out there on that walkway, look at that water. I mean,
we're just trying to make sure we've thought of all.
I mean, it's like how far, I mean, police department were like, oh my gosh, too much stop. Walkway, look at that water, I'm right in the ordinance violation. So, I know you would, but I'm just. But I mean, is that something that happens that way, or?
I erred towards the side. Yeah, I was erring towards the side for being a little more specific, just because, just knowing how everybody can have a kind of an excuse for things. Go up there and they've got the fishing rod in their hand, but they're not out there fishing. They're just standing there. But I think, police department uses and exercises, very good discretion in those circumstances. And already had a couple people that even while it was under construction, they were climbing over the barriers and the caution tape. So I think we're just trying to provide for all circumstances. So we're not back here in a couple months saying, well, we need to add stop and stand on there as well. But they really probably shouldn't stop or stand there, just because if there are people running and biking and everything else through there, just try to keep it free flowing. But yeah, I'm sure people will pause to take in the view.
Well, I guess we need to make sure we do the ribbon cutting before you put the signs up, right? Just kidding. All right, is there a motion? All right, second.
I'll second.
Any more discussion, comments, questions? If not, then all in favor? Next amendment. All right, motion closed. Motion passes. All right, and last but not least is comments from the commissioners themselves. We'll start with Mr. Martin.
Yeah, I wanted to echo something that former Commissioner Evans did at one of our board meetings years ago. He looked out to the audience and asked the audience to pay attention to what's going on in your town. I'm very disappointed in some of the things that's going on in town. I realize that I'm only one vote out of 5, but I want you to pay a special attention to the upcoming budget. I know for a fact that we're going to be asked to raise taxes 5 or 6 cents, as we always have. So I think our town staff is growing at an alarming rate. We don't need all of those people. I'm envious at our neighboring town of Cedar Point that's able to do their public works with 2 people, 1 or 2 people in the office, 1 sheriff's deputy, and enjoying a nickel tax rate that's about 4 or 5 times less than ours. I grow more envious every day. Don't know how they do it. I applaud them for being able to do it. Not to say I don't enjoy our police department, I really do. I enjoy our public works department, but I see a troubling future for actually letting our wants override our needs. So I ask the citizens to pay attention, as Commissioner Evans did 2 or 3 years ago. That's all I have.
All right. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Waters. Commissioner Watts.
I have nothing.
Okay. All right, and I was just handed some dates I guess we need to set.
Yeah,
Zach, I'm sorry, I got ahead. Forgot about these.
Yeah, we'll set a date for the ribbon cutting out there.
Have you got a date that you prefer?
Maybe like Wednesday or Thursday this week. I don't want to wait too long. I know people are anxious to use it, so.
Okay, so let's shoot for Wednesday. What time?
11 o'clock on Wednesday.
Okay, just do a consensus. Everybody okay with 11 o'clock on Wednesday? Okay, all right, 11 o'clock Wednesday, we'll open her up. And a special meeting date for the, I can't read your writing.
Yeah, for the
LDP, land use plan.
So I think we were looking at February 8th, which is a Tuesday, and kind of have a meeting just to focus on the draft land use plan and comprehensive plan so we can really dive into some discussion there. We should be getting an updated draft from Summit in the next couple of days. That should give some opportunity to provide feedback and to send that along so it can be incorporated. But with some of the stuff like the Main Street concept and everything else, I think it'd be good to have a meeting where we just focus on that. And then hopefully we can come away from that with a recommendation or I guess for hopefully a motion to adopt so that it can be sent off to the Coastal Resources Commission. But planning board would be that week before. So hopefully at that point we'll have something from the planning board and that would give us an opportunity. And if there's changes that come from that February 8th meeting date, if we have that meeting and there's a bunch of things that need to be corrected or changed, okay. We have that regularly scheduled meeting on February 14th. So that could give some opportunity to make those changes and bring those back the following Monday for consideration. So, but I think it'd be a good opportunity to really kind of dive into it and, kind of discuss some of the main concepts that are in there. We hadn't really had a chance to do that. Or the board has not had a chance to do it. I know the steering committee and the planning board have had a really good opportunity to do that. So.
Okay. All right. So he tossed February 8th out there. Is that a good date for everybody?
Isn't that the planning board?
The planning board is the Monday, isn't it?
February 1st is
the 1st. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this would be that following Tuesday. And then the question would be whether the board wants to do a meeting during the day or a meeting during the evening. And then if we could just set that time so we can go ahead and get the public notice out and all that.
Any preferences, gentlemen?
I would prefer evening.
Okay. We could do it like a regular board meeting, say 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
I mean, if that's okay with you guys, I mean, I can take a day off.
Okay. Okay. All right then, February the 8th, special meeting.
All right.
6 o'clock. Any questions or comments about the date, Steve?
No.
All righty. I think that was it for that. Only comments I have is, once again, I think our staff's doing an amazing job. We're getting a lot of stuff done. And as you have, problems just like everybody else does with growth, and as the future comes, just have to deal with it as it comes, and hopefully we'll make the right decisions. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, second. All in favor? All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody that came. Y'all have a wonderful evening.